Fresh snow is a nearly perfect environmental recorder. It captures every movement, every heavy footstep, and every tire rut with absolute precision. Because of this, winter environments are notoriously difficult to hide in. If something moves across a field of white, the evidence remains until the next thaw. Yet, there are rare accounts of individuals suffering severe physical trauma, bleeding and bruised, who look back to find that the snow behind them has remained completely undisturbed. This timeline highlights a specific problem. A physical impact occurs, but the evidence is immediately flattened, leaving the scene as blank as it was before the event ever happened. We'll examine 3 cases where the winter landscape seemed to act as an accomplice, systematically erasing the presence of things that should have left a trail. Our first case involves a 19-year-old student walking home during a blizzard so severe that the local roads were officially considered impassable. While struggling through the drifts, he saw headlights approaching. He watched as a full-sized snowplow veered off the road and smashed into a tree, leaving the engine idling and the front end crumpled. When he reached the cab to help, he found the seat empty and the door unlocked. There were no footprints in the deep snow surrounding the truck, and no one was inside the vehicle. The police investigation confirmed an impossible detail. As shown here, the road behind the wreck was completely blank. No tire tracks led to the tree. The plow simply manifested at the point of impact, with no physical record of it ever traveling down the road. The event leaves us with a heavy, mechanical machine that exists at a crash site without having left any trace of the journey required to get there. The second case occurred on a secluded hiking trail just as a sudden storm began to coat the forest floor. A hiker heard a child's voice and looked up to find a 9-year-old boy sitting on a branch 20 feet above the ground. The boy was smiling, perched on a limb that would have been nearly impossible to climb without equipment. The hiker noticed that the snow around the base of the tree was pristine. The boy had apparently been sitting up there since before the storm began, enduring the freezing cold for nearly an hour. When the boy finally moved, he didn't climb down. He fell 30 feet onto his back. But as he hit the ground, he seemed to bounce. He left no crater in the snow and suffered no visible injury, immediately springing up to run away. The hiker followed, only to be ambushed. The boy jumped onto his back and began clawing at his neck with enough force to draw blood. The hiker eventually managed to throw the child off, watching him disappear into the woods. When the police later tracked the hiker's path, they found his blood and his footprints. But they found no second set of tracks. The person who had just attacked him left no physical impression on the environment. The hiker was left with deep, verifiable wounds, but the forest record showed he had been entirely alone. In our final case, a teenager was forced to walk home through a wooded stretch during a sudden, heavy blizzard. He encountered a man standing in the middle of the storm, wearing only a short-sleeved shirt and shorts. His skin was already turning purple from the cold, yet he possessed enough energy to scream and sprint toward the boy. What followed was a frantic chase through the drifts. The teenager eventually reached his home, terrified and exhausted, but the man didn't stop. He was seen hours later, watching the house through a bedroom window. This case differs from the others because the evidence was there. Deep, frantic footprints were visible in the yard, confirming the threat was real. However, the environment still protected the intruder. Because of the whiteout conditions and the freezing temperatures, the police refused to follow the tracks into the woods. By morning, the wind and snow had buried them. In this instance, the winter storm didn't erase the evidence immediately. It simply acted as a shield, preventing any investigation until the trail was naturally destroyed. For all 3 of these people, the physical danger was only the beginning. The aftermath brought a different kind of distress, the frustration of being disbelieved by authorities because the snow didn't back up their stories. This chart shows the gap between a victim's experience and the official record. When wounds exist but the tracks don't, a vividly remembered trauma is often dismissed as a hallucination. Severe winter weather does more than just isolate us physically. It can permanently separate a victim from the proof of what they survived. A field of fresh snow often looks peaceful, but it provides nature with a way to quietly delete almost any event that happens within it.